I haven't finished writing this one out yet, so I don't know if it's gonna be good or not. But um, what's up? My name is Zara, and this is a video called I don't know what it's called. I think it's called when someone's watching everything you do slash the critic theory. Anyways, dude, I was hoping to do something that was like more like stoic and like it feels like everything I do. In order to escape the watchful eye of the critics, you must first learn to exist free of self-critique. Anyways, let's go. It feels like everything I do is being judged, scored, analyzed, and scrutinized. While I haven't resolved this personally, I still want to present it to you. In order to escape the watchful eye of the critics, you must first learn to exist free of self-critique. I'd like to take a moment to frame what the point of making this is. I'm here to hypothesize about why my reality exists as it does. Upon shedding light on this state of constant self-surveillance, I hope to reveal insights of which are opaque to the inattentive mind, not just to you, but to myself as well. I feel like there's this thing watching me, this amorphous manifestation of justice, a set of parameters superseding perfection. I feel I'm always being watched, judged, scrutinized, even in the solace of my own bedroom or the corridors of my shower. I feel I am not alone. And I'm not talking Big Brother, I'm not talking big tech or the ear pressed against the other end of your phone line, not no government surveillance or your Echo Dot. I'm speaking of the invisible skull in your vents. The eyes that trace your every move, the suffocating gaze of bystanders as you walk down the streets, ears picking up on the beat of your heart in a room of crowded silence. This thing that perceives you when you're imperceivable. It's this endless monologue in your head that judges each and every little thing that you do from the lens of others, whoever others might be. In several failed attempts to reframe my constant concern over being perceived, I realized that no matter how hard I push to simply not care, I hit this wall. And it's like every single time I find a new way to jump higher, the wall grows with me. And that's because the issue doesn't lie within society's gaze. No, I mean, that's the final boss, sure, but I'm on the first installation of the series, and that's a sequel. It's like I'm reading strategy on how to capture Zekrom when I'm battling Lugia, and I get confused and demoralized every time I get my shit rocked, time and time again. I don't know why I don't use a Master Ball, but like, whatever. The analogy stands. Bring it back to what I said before. I want to talk about this amorphous manifestation of judgment. I would like to call this thing the critic. It's that thread of thought that monitors and judges your every move. It's what hones your focus in on the swing of your arms when you're walking through an empty park, and the disgust in your mind when you sing a flat note in the shower and nobody else can hear it. In these instances where there is no observer but yourself, and you still feel this endless gaze staring you down, you must realize that the critic exists within you. Oftentimes, people tend to believe that the critic is only others, and that's a really comforting viewpoint. Oftentimes, I've found myself believing firmly that if I remove myself from the scrutiny of others, I will be free from scrutiny. This idea of being so comfortable in your own being that you're immune to the thoughts of others. The fuck you to anyone that might judge the Miles Morales, I'm gonna do my own thing. Those Reddit threads that say, guys, I realize you just you just shouldn't care. And look, that works for some people. I'm not said people. Because again, the critic never existed out of your own mind. All these self-help things telling you not to worry about what other people think, that's not where I believe the issue lies in some of us. Again, I'm not talking about being reprimanded at a job or laughed at when you trip over your own foot in a library, because that's a whole separate thing. That's embarrassment, that's shame, and that's fine. That's normal. That's a thing that we all experience. But I'm talking about this thought pattern. And as a result of this being your own mind, this idea of others' perception is essentially some part of you perceiving yourself. When you say something unfunny at a group hangout, even if nobody else cares, you're sitting there admonishing yourself under the guise of they must think, blah, blah, blah. The critic exists in your head, and therefore the critic is not consistent of other people, but rather your image of what they might think. What I'm trying to say is, so many people get caught up in this idea of escaping judgment from others that they oftentimes don't realize are the ones judging themselves. And in the truest form, even if you were to isolate completely, sit alone in your room for a whole year free of any sort of monitoring, you would still feel the weight of these eyes on you. Because again, the critic exists in your head. It simply wears many masks. So long as you watch yourself with this scrutinizing eye, you will never escape this feeling of a false existence. Everything you do and say, even in private settings in close quarters, will be evaluated by this formless audience. In a world where you stand alone on the stage, even if you're able to ban everybody from attendance, clear out the whole place, so long as you yourself are sitting in that crowd, you will never let the play end, but rather you'll dance until your toes bleed, shout and sing until your voice grows hoarse. And as the curtains finally begin to close, you'll hear the audience raving for an encore, wanting to once again indulge in the endless parade of some figure you've conceived to satiate their evaluation. Yet it's not even that. It's simply to avoid a bad article, to prevent a 1 star on Yelp saying that your shit sucked. You don't get on this stage to be great. You get on there to be greater than the absolute worst. I use all these analogies because I find it hard to say things directly. Language is simply one of many vessels of conveying things, yet sometimes the ship can't hold all the cargo, and part of what I feel, part of the thing that I want to send over fails to meet you. There's just not enough room. It's just not capable of doing so. And so regardless, I try to summarize this idea of the critic in a simple form now. My hypothesis is that the issue may not lie in your concerns over how others perceive you. It's that you're subconsciously applying those pressures on yourself. That's not an easy thing to undo. You've learned them your entire life, and it's not going to be easy to unlearn them, nor do I believe that you will be able to do that completely. But when you're watching everything you do, this thing I label the critic dissects and either praises or shits on you for every little thing you do, it will oftentimes wear the mask of others in the process of doing so. And even if you're able to actively escape the tangible eyes of others, you will never be truly free until you escape the intangible gaze of your own. So how do you find resolution? Guinness. Honestly, I don't have an answer. If I did, I'd be like a much happier person. If I did, I probably would have started posting videos and publicizing my music more years ago, but I haven't found it. So as I said, since this channel consists of mainly hypotheses, I've drafted one that I've been attempting to implement in my day-to-day life. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that you shouldn't feel embarrassed when you choke on your water in a silent test room and you're trying to hold in bursts of coughs until your face goes red and you make a super weird sound. Shit sucks, dude. Like, I would hate myself too. But the issue arises when all of a sudden you actually hate yourself for a million different reasons and a million times over. Even for dropping your pencil, even for getting up slowly when the class got dismissed, even for bumping into someone on the bus or the subway home. These normal things. And not only that, but it's fatiguing, it's isolating, maintaining this entire world of people and their conceptions of you all in your head that just exist to punish you for your slightest mishap. It is an exhausting way of living, having to fight yourself just to breathe. No wonder you're tired, you're drowning yourself. But I digress. The first step is attempting to observe yourself without judgment. And notice how I said attempting. If you resonate with the things I said in this video, you will likely not find it easy to immediately change your frame of mind. If you find yourself angry that you're unable to treat yourself without judgment, that itself is judging yourself, and that itself is self-contradictory. I found that the best way is in the simplest forms of meditation. And I'm sorry if this sounds like I'm preaching the same thing you hear over and over and over, but let your thoughts pass as you sit there, as they enter in and out of your stream of consciousness. And try not to judge. Simply acknowledge that they are. Even if you hate them, even if your mind is swirling with thoughts that you want to run from, things that you've messed up, bridges that you've burned, don't suppress it. Even if you feel like you're going to puke, maybe don't let it get that bad, but it's like a point down the stream of a river. Fish will come and go, and just as one passes, another one will always seem to follow. Eventually, you just got to get used to the fact that you can't catch every single one of them. You got to be willing to see it, let it go, let it move on. Now, I don't really know what to tell you as to what the reason for this constant scrutiny might be. You know, a lot of things may originate when you were growing up. A lot of things might originate in sort of social pressures that you've experienced throughout your life, maybe in middle school, elementary school, high school, college, in your job, all these different kinds of things. You're always facing some kind of pressure from external circumstances, and you oftentimes will internalize them and hold yourself to that standard. And I'm not saying that that is always a bad thing either. Just like there's good forms of stress, there's good forms of trying to be a more holistic, better socially person. But when you start sacrificing yourself, punishing yourself, admonishing yourself to an unhealthy extent, and the idea of, I just fucked up, I need to get better, that doesn't do good for you, nor does it do good for anybody else. There's something so profoundly calming about simply letting yourself be. If I leave you with one thing, I think I'd want it to be, even if it's for a moment of day, even if it's for one moment each day, simply let yourself be. Exist. Exist. Even if you feel some sort of emotion, even if you have all these thoughts, simply exist in that moment, feel the things you feel. Let your brain think the things that it thinks, and try to simply sit there. Don't observe it with judgment. Don't have some sort of passion in you that's saying, what the fuck? I don't want to feel bad. I don't think I should feel this way. Or, what the fuck? Like, why am I thinking these things? Simply observe them from an impartial point of view. And the longer you can extend that period of time, or the more often that you can do that, the more you're going to have these little cognitive breaks that will bring you so much mental peace and clarity. And I really hope that you get there. Anyways, I love you. Be well. Be you. I'll see you later.